Today we're taking a hands-on look onto the LEGO Technic Ducati Panigale V4R set number 42107. This LEGO Technic motorbike is just absolutely insane. And I want to say that LEGO did get many things right with this bike. For example, it seems super small to even, fit in a couple gears or let alone a whole gearbox. Well, guess what? This bike actually does have a speed transmission gearbox. Wow. I mean, that's insane. It's got 2 speeds and a neutral gear, which gives you insight into how the transmission actually works in a real bike. And as you can see, if we have this lever here, it's just a neutral, so when we roll the bike around, the V4 engine doesn't do anything. If we put it up, this is the fast speed, meaning that the engine will go very slowly per each rotation. And now let's switch to the slow speed, which means that the engine will go really fast per the number of rotations. So as you can see, this gearbox actually works very nicely. The gearbox uses the 2018 Bugatti Chiron transmitter, which is very useful for making compact gearboxes. And I just want to say that the reason this little lever kind of locks into place is because we have this piece over here, which is pushing down on this 4-tooth gear, and it's actually being pulled by a rubber band, so that way the little lever can always lock into place at a 90-degree angle, which is very useful for gearboxes in my opinion, and mock makers are definitely gonna be able to benefit from such knowledge here. And because it only has 2 speeds, this is actually one of the first gearboxes that I fully understand how it works, and I think that any LEGO Technic beginner is going to understand perfectly exactly how this gearbox works. This is just absolutely perfect for really anyone that wants to get into LEGO Technic. Another reason I'm super proud of LEGO for making such a beautiful and well-designed bike is its suspension. For example, on the back, one shock absorber for the back wheel, which is just a basic standard old shock absorber, but for the front wheel is where the big stuff comes in. These 2 shock absorbers are completely brand new. They have a spring on the inside and it's not exposed like the other shock absorbers we have gotten. And they do work very well. I'm super happy about the way the suspension turned out on this Ducati bike. It really does look amazing in my opinion and just functions so perfectly. This bike also does have a really cool looking chain which is really authentic to actual Ducati bikes, and I really appreciate that instead of the bikes we have gotten in the past, which just used a chain connected up to a fake piston engine with no gearboxes whatsoever, I do appreciate that LEGO made such a compact gearbox for this Ducati. I mean, this bike is so small, yet they were able to fit a very sophisticated gearbox into this bike, and I must say that must have been a challenge for the LEGO Technic designers, so I really am proud of them. I want to move over to the front here. It is looking very nice. I do like the way they made the steering wheel here, which is just perfect in my opinion. It doesn't get any better than this. Over here on the front we do have like a bent plastic piece, which is it's basically a windshield piece over here. I do like this sticker that they have here. We have the electronics for the Ducati bike, which do actually resemble the actual Ducati bike very nicely. They are authentic. Authenticity for this bike, I gotta say, is 10 out of 10. It perfectly resembles what the Ducati bike is. And I want to give even more thanks to LEGO for pretty much perfectly replicating the Ducati Panigale V4R motorcycle, because it looks pretty much identical to the actual bike. Despite, Technic being usually more blocky or whatever, I do feel like that if you have this just, standing up on your shelf, everyone will recognize what this bike is. I personally really love playing with this bike in the off-road, because of the suspension. It's just so fun and so cool, and I do love just changing the speed on the fly. It works so nicely, the gearbox never gets stuck because it's only 2 speeds. I mean, it's just perfect. Words cannot express just how much I love this bike. I do also like the location of the speed transmitter. It's exactly where your left foot would be, and you would press the pedal to transmit the speed, which is actually realistic of real motorcycles in real life. which I do appreciate. But of course, are there any negatives with this bike that I love? Well, of course, nothing is perfect in the world. And one of the things that I kind of wish they added is just a small little kickstand. That would have been appreciated. But that's really the only thing I could think of here. The bike, in my opinion, looks amazing. For 70 bucks, this is the perfect LEGO Technic set, especially if you're just starting out. Like, if you've been building system all this time, and you're thinking about, well, should I get into LEGO Technic? I say yes, and this is the set that you should start out with. This gives you a general idea of how the LEGO Technic building system works, and it also gives you a general idea of the complexity that LEGO Technic sets have. For example, with the gearbox and the piston engine and the chain over here, it has pretty much every function of LEGO Technic compacted into one set, which I really appreciate. In my opinion, LEGO Technic should always, at least once a year, come up with a brand new bike and release it with a speed transmission gearbox. In my opinion, this is going to be the best part of LEGO Technic for many years to come. So can you get this bike? Well, you can get it on August 1st, 2020. If you live in Europe, you can get it right now. So how did I get it? Well, I flew all the way to Germany, bought the set in a LEGO store, and flew all the way back to the United States. Yes, I am that dedicated indeed, and I even flew all the way to Florida just to be able to film the life-size Bugatti Chiron, which was in Orlando, Florida. So, yeah. This is your Unbrick Me here, and I'll see you in the next one.